Good evening. It's Joyful Christian Hermit. I have a prayer request. I got a call this evening from a very dear friend. Um, I've known her for 29 years. She's from my hometown and has 8 grown children, no husband, is divorced and annulled. And she called to tell me some news, and she needs prayers. She had been swimming. She's 4 years younger than I am, so she would be 69. And she'd been swimming laps at the local Y. She's back in the Midwest. And I think did she say a couple of weeks ago? Or a couple of months? Anyway, it must have been a couple of weeks ago. She had short of breath. And her son, who is a PA for a cardiologist in the city, nearby city, got her in to an appointment. And he ended up, I think, paying for a special kind of a scan. But for her heart, since she was out of breath. And she also was becoming weak in the last week. But she had this extra test. Everything came back fine on her heart. So they decided to do a lung scan and abdominal. And she did that on Thursday, and she got a phone call from the doctor, this specialist, who her son had recommended and gotten her in to see. And she has a mass on her lungs, and a mass on her pancreas, and a mass on her liver. And they're sure it's cancer. She's meeting with an oncologist tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And so please pray. Her children are in shock. She's in shock, but she has tremendous faith. This woman the whole town would consider her a saint. She helps so many people. Well, she works. She does manual labor, but she reared all of her children, and they're all successful, doing well. And she never worried about house. She had a home for them, but she's very, very humble person, and always donated, very giving person, but just worked. They worked manual labor jobs. She did, to help her. She was married first to a man who was an electrician, and he was electrocuted on the job and died. She had 2 children, 2 girls. She remarried and had 6 more children, including a set of twins. And that man became an alcoholic and a cheater, and so they divorced when I think the youngest was maybe 7 years old, the youngest of the children they had. So very young children. Maybe the oldest was 16 at the time. So she's had a lot of suffering in her life in that regard. But she goes to church, goes to Mass daily, just very, very, very devout. She herself is from a family, is it 15 children? I think 15. She was the first daughter, 5th child and first daughter. Her name is Mary, so please pray for her and for her family. I did ask her if it was all right to request prayers, and she said yes. The family, they're all praying to God, of course, and asking for prayers from Father Solanus Casey. he was in the Midwest, and he was in that town for about 10 years toward the end of his life at a friary called St. Felix Friary. And he's a Capuchin, deceased. He's a blessed. He needs another miracle to have his canonization as a saint. He had been a very humble man, a porter at the monastery where he was in Detroit. And also, when he was in this little town for 10 years, he also served as a porter. But he became very, very holy. He was not educated. I think he was born on a farm in Minnesota. But he's a Capuchin, and he died maybe in 1957 or 1958 in Detroit in their Capuchin friary there. He was in this small town in Indiana for about 10 years and left there in 1956. He was very well known for holiness then. Busloads of people would come from Detroit into this small town just to visit him, to see him, and to receive his blessings or his prayers. And he had the gift of seeing into souls, the gift of healing, and of foretelling the future even. So he did not have the stigmata, but he was in the same religious order as Padre Pio, who was also a Capuchin in Italy. So Father Solanus Casey, I think, would he be the first priest in the United States, a male who was born in the United States? I'm not sure of that. But they're all asking his intercessions. Of course, they want their mother to be healed, and she wants to be healed too. So I'll know more tomorrow, maybe, or over in the next few days. She'll get back in touch with what the oncologist wants to do. Whether it's something they can operate on, or to get, if it's masses, if they're operable, or chemotherapy. I know she'll want to fight this. She has many grandchildren, and she is having a new one in December, in just about a month, due December 15th. So she has much to live for, and of course wants to live. And so please pray. I told her I would ask for Father Solanus's intercessions. But also, I'm calling upon the holy name of Jesus to heal her. And I made my offering, which I do for people. I offer God myself in her place. And I've had a death experience. I know what it's like, and it's wonderful. So but she has so much going on still in life. Her children are all very close to her, and and she works still, cleaning and really taking care of, running errands for, and helping out elderly people in the town. She works for them, cleaning and sort of being a errand person and good company for them, and she's very holy, as I've mentioned. So they enjoy having her around. And so please pray for Mary. And if you're inclined, maybe look up Father Solanus Casey. And I don't know when he was declared blessed, but it's blessed. For a long time, he was venerable. But he's one of the first books, a biography of him, that I read, this the first priest was a Capuchin from Detroit, the first priest that I met with. And I had been told to go to that priest by God. So all was ordained in my situation to go to this Capuchin priest who had a parish. He was the Capuchins had a parish in that town for many years. Then finally, when he retired a few years ago, a diocese priest took over that parish for the first time in years and years. So I've been stunned by this news. She was short of breath, and then she did say the last. I think it was for 2 months that she found herself short of breath doing her laps in the pool at the Y. 2 months, and then it's been in the last 2 weeks that, in the last week, in fact, that she has had. She's lost weight, and she's very thin to begin with, but she's lost her appetite recently. In particular, the last week or so, nothing tastes good, and she's exhausted. That's been a more recent symptom in the last week and a half or so. She's 2 weeks. She's just absolutely exhausted by the end of the day. So she's very ill. A mass in her lungs, in her liver, and in her pancreas, or on it. So I will appreciate your prayers. She's actually, I only have 2 friends that I keep in touch with, other than my cousin and the daughter, but she was one of my references, in fact. Knew me the longest as a Catholic in my hometown, and knew of all the situations I was in. She's the one that saw me and my son out delivering soup and called me. What are you doing? What are you doing? I saw you. Because she would always carry newspapers with her children as one of the ways they would earn money. And she homeschooled all her children. They lived very humbly, very, very humbly. And all of her children had jobs. People would hire them to help pay. But they all went through college, and so she's been a wonderful mother. Both of her parents are deceased now. She's been a wonderful daughter. Has all those siblings. They're stunned. One sibling, I think, has passed. But so anyway, that's Mary. And I'm asking God to give her a miraculous healing, if it's God's will. And of course, I'm conflicted. I know how wonderful death is, but she doesn't have the same experience. And she's not afraid of it. She's filled with faith, filled with faith. And so, but she wants to live. And of course, and her children want her to live. She tragically lost a granddaughter about 2 years ago in a horrific accident. It was in the news, national news even, I think. It's an unfortunate situation that she'd gotten wooed or caught up with a creep. He was in jail for, I think, manslaughter, but he was somehow let out early. Was back in Ohio, and he talked her into letting him use her car, and she was in the car with him, and the police were trying to arrest him, following him, even though it was her car. They had been on him because since he was out of jail, he'd already committed another crime. And so this young girl was very gullible and very easily influenced by this man. And he sped, and she lost her life. So, and she'd gotten herself turned around, but when he got out of jail, he found her and charmed her. It was not so, he had a hold over her, some kind of a psychological or, it was tragic. So that daughter in particular is upset, thinking of losing her mother, and after she'd lost her daughter. So Mary is very, very involved in each of her children's lives and has always had good health. That's why this is so shocking. She's had amazing health, doing all this work for other people, helping these elderly people, or she was helping someone who was her age who was very sick with cancer. Recently has been helping her. So that's my prayer request, and I appreciate your prayers for Mary. Thank you so much. I'll keep you posted. And we're still praying for, I haven't had any updates on Sister Andrea over in the Czech Republic with her cancer. I think she's young, but I don't know with Mary. She's so lovely and doing so much good for people. We just never know. So I'm praying with confidence and hope that God will allow her to be miraculously healed, or at least be able to have chemo successfully and have some years left to spend more time with her family and to continue doing good on earth. God bless His real presence in us, and thank you for the prayers for Mary.